Amazing cleaner jumps into the sea to rescue Millionaire's twins, then a shocking twist revealed. Jessie's heart raced as she scrubbed the gleaming marble floors of the resort, surrounded by luxury she could only dream of. Every day she watched the elite guests drift by, careless and oblivious. While she toiled under the weight of her mother's medical bills and her own shattered dreams of becoming a marine biologist, Jessie felt invisible, a wraith in a world of glitter and gold. Today, however, as she took her break, the salty breeze reminded her of her grandfather's tales about the vast ocean, stories that kindled the spark of ambition in her heart. Just as she closed her eyes and listened to the rhythmic crash of waves, chaos erupted. "Help! Someone, please!" shouted Mr. Caldwell, the resort owner, his face twisted with panic. The sound shattered the tranquility, pulling Jessie from her reverie. She followed the frantic pointing of his finger to the churning surf where his twin daughters were struggling against the waves. A wave of dread washed over her. A morbid part of her considered how easily she could sink back into her routine, how no one would ever notice. But the thought of those girls, their innocent laughter silenced, ignited something visceral within her. In that moment, Jessie felt the sea calling her. Without hesitating, she dove into the surf. The water enveloped her like a heavy blanket, each wave crashing against her body, swallowing her whole. The screams of the crowd echoed in her ears while new emotions churned within: fear, desperation, but above all, an overwhelming instinct to save those little lives. As she fought against the relentless pull of the tide, Jessie questioned her own worth. Would she be remembered for this act of bravery, or merely as another background character in the resort's grand narrative? Before long, she reached the struggling girls, grasping their flailing arms, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Hold on!" she shouted, her thoughts racing. Would she get them back to safety before it was too late? Gasps erupted from the beach as she pulled the girls close, battling against every wave that sought to drag them under. Heart pounding, she felt a flicker of hope. Adrenaline surged, pushing her muscles as she pulled them to the shore, the world fading away until they finally collapsed together on the sandy beach. In the aftermath, as the crowd erupted in cheers and admiration, a transformation began in Jessie. Voices echoed her newfound fame, with Mr. Caldwell pledging to help her pursue her marine biology dreams. The warmth of opportunity embraced her, but shadows lurked in the corners of her mind. Dark whispers of Mr. Caldwell's questionable past weaved through the gossip. Was this generous offer a genuine gesture of gratitude, or a desperate attempt to salvage his reputation? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The weight of conflicting emotions pressed on her. Potential futures flickered before her, opportunities she could grasp, or a moral dilemma that could tear her apart. What if staying quiet about Mr. Caldwell's scandals meant ignoring a chance to finally rise above? As she wandered the shoreline later, thinking of her grandfather's box tucked away in her home, she felt the pull of family legacy, revealing truths that could bind her to a community she barely knew. Each crashing wave echoed her internal struggle, a reminder that decisions could be as treacherous as the tide. Then, just as she felt she might find clarity, her phone buzzed violently at her side. A thread of anxiety shot through her. A message contained a threat: someone knew too much, and someone wanted her silence. Jessie stood frozen, waves crashing in turmoil, her heart pounding with uncertainty. Would she protect her dreams or dive headfirst into a storm that could devour everything she fought for? The turmoil pulsed through her, leaving a singular thought. She had to choose, the choice would define her future. The air felt dense as Jessie clutched her phone, her breath hitching at the gravity of the message. A burning urgency thrummed through her veins, almost drowning out the rhythmic crashing of the waves. She took a few hesitant steps along the shoreline, each grain of sand a reminder of her precarious position. The threat loomed like a dark cloud behind her newfound attention. Voices mingled around her, celebrating her heroism while the undercurrent of deceit threatened to pull her under. For once in her life, she tasted the intoxicating spice of possibility. Mr. Caldwell's lavish offer echoed in her mind, a chance to step away from the shining marble floors of the resort and into the world of marine biology, of exploration and discovery. Yet doubt gnawed at the edges of her newfound ambition. Was diving headfirst into this opportunity worth the risk of betraying what she had learned about ethics, honesty, and the shadows that lurked beneath the surface of every tide? As the sun dipped below the horizon, flooding the sky with hues of gold and violet, Jessie parked herself on a weathered log, lost in thought. Images of her childhood flooded back, the seashells she'd collected, the books on marine life she had hoarded, the dreams that felt as unreachable as the stars above. But this dream now had a new layer of complication. Mr. Caldwell's past loomed like a specter, an anchor weighing her down, threatening her journey before it had truly begun. The twin girls' faces flashed before her eyes, so innocent and trusting, now forever linked to her act of bravery. What if she discovered something more sinister in her pursuit of truth? What if the role she played was less about her dreams and more about unsettling tides, dragging her into a world of treachery? Determined not to be merely a pawn in someone else's game, Jessie stood and dusted the sand from her shorts, her resolve hardening. The uncertainty that had gripped her was transforming into a steely determination. She had not gone through the tempest of rescuing those girls just to surrender her agency to a stranger's corruption. With every step she took towards a brighter future, an equal urge to uncover the truth behind the threat bubbled to the surface. Maybe this was the opportunity she needed, not just to reinvent herself as a marine biologist but to become a protector of those whom she cared for. Perhaps, somewhere in this moral conundrum, she could find a calling more profound than she had ever envisioned. She would have to look inside herself, wield her newfound strength, and confront whatever lay ahead. Acting out of instinct, Jessie punched the number of a contact from her past into her phone, the only person she could trust with her suspicions. Olivia had always been a savvy investigator, one who thrived in the gritty underbelly of the city's secrets. Jessie felt the weight of the decision settle on her shoulders. She was no longer just a cleaner at the resort. She was about to step into the unknown, wielding the potential for change while carrying the risk of dark revelations. As the phone rang, Jessie found her heart racing once again, a beacon of courage igniting within. What would Olivia say? Would she be prepared for the depth of what was about to unfold? The line clicked open, signaling that the time had come to face a darkness she had so far only glimpsed. "I need your help," Jessie began, her voice steady but low, as uncertainty weaved a thread of anticipation through her. "There's something troubling about Mr. Caldwell." Jessie sat on the log, clutching the phone as Olivia's voice broke through the faint sounds of the waves. It was authoritative, tinged with familiarity and a hint of concern. The moment hung suspended between them, a thread of shared history snapping back with the urgency of the current. "What's going on, Jessie? You sound off." Her pulse quickened. She needed clarity and focus. "It's about Caldwell. I just saved his daughters from drowning. But now, I can't shake this feeling that there's something deeper, something wrong about him." Silence lingered, an echo of the waves as Olivia absorbed the information. Jessie could almost picture her friend leaning back, calculating all the angles with her sharp instincts burning bright. "Why do you think that? Did he say something?" "No, it's not just him, it's everything around him. There's a tension, like he's hiding something." Jessie took a deep breath, ruminating over her words. "He's really interested in marine biology, but his motivations seem questionable." "Trust your gut," Olivia advised. Jessie felt a knot tighten in her stomach, its weight a reminder of her moral compass wavering precariously. "Have you spoken to anyone else about it?" "Just you." "I wanted to get a grasp before escalating it." Jessie glanced toward the horizon, where the last slivers of daylight were slipping away. I'm thinking I need to do some digging. Maybe follow him? Find out what's really happening behind the scenes. Good plan, Olivia replied steadily. Just be careful. You can't let your curiosity lead you into dangerous waters. I know, Jessie said, the gravity of the situation resounding in her mind. But I can't be just another cleaning lady who turns a blind eye anymore. This is too important. Those girls, I owe it to them. Your instincts are sharp, Jessie. Lean into that strength. I'll help however I can from this end. Jessie hung up, a new layer of determination unfolding within her. She would not just be the helper, she would be the protector. The call had sparked a resolve she hadn't anticipated, an urge to leverage her past knowledge and experiences into something impactful. Armed with both fear and excitement, she shifted her gaze toward the nearby cliffs where Caldwell's estate loomed. The moon rose high, casting a silver sheen over the darkening water. Plagued by doubts, Jessie walked closer to her car, using the reflection on the window to catch glimpses of her resolve. Her clean-cut appearance felt like a facade now. This was a chance to embrace the woman she wanted to become, and that woman was not afraid of confronting her fears or the potential dangers that lay ahead. With pre-planned stealth, she mapped out important landmarks around Caldwell's estate in her mind, places to hide, observe, and gather truths. The call with Olivia motivated her as she thought about the skills she could utilize, her attention to detail as a cleaner, her quiet ability to observe without being noticed, her experience in tackling small crises. What if she approached this like solving a puzzle, unraveling pieces of a bigger picture? That night, she lay awake, the shadows of doubt darkening her thoughts. Each whisper of the surf teased her worries, but also fueled her inner fire. You can do this, she told herself firmly. You have to. As dawn approached, illuminating the coastline, Jessie readied herself for what lay on the horizon, a clandestine investigation into Mr. Caldwell's life. The thrill tinged with fear manifested in her core, propelling her spirit forward. There was no turning back now. Standing at the brink of this newfound mission, Jessie made a silent vow, to uncover the truth, even if it meant confronting powerful adversaries and untangling lies. She was stepping into the unknown, each heartbeat fueled by an irreversible commitment. The moment of action had arrived, and as she took her first step toward Caldwell's estate, a disturbing thought gripped her. What if the very thing she sought to protect was tied to something much darker than she ever could have anticipated? As the first rays of sunlight crept over the horizon, Jessie's mind whirred with possibilities, each one a thread leading her deeper into the enigma of Caldwell. The estate was grand, yet intimidating, its intricacies baffling beneath the serene facade. She approached slowly, scanning every element for clues: its lavish gardens, the glinting windows, and the well-kept paths that wound like secrets into the yard. Was a mere cleaning lady truly equipped to uncover the hidden layers of this world? Inside, she took a deep breath and adjusted her uniform, her identity as a caretaker still clinging to her. But today, she was an investigator, a protector, an enigma in her own right. Grabbing her cleaning supplies, she stepped through the massive doors of the estate, the scent of polished wood and ocean breeze filling her senses. Every creak of the floor was a reminder of her heightened awareness. She had to move like a shadow. Jessie's routine tasks were now infused with purpose. As she dusted the shelves in the study, she observed the details around her: the scattered books, the photographs of the daughters, the framed accolades adorning the walls. Each artifact painted a picture, but she sensed a void resonating within the triumphs. There was something heavy lurking beyond the surface. She worked systematically, allowing herself to absorb the environment, but the deeper she investigated, the more she felt a tug, like the shifting sands beneath her feet. Conversations overheard, files stacked haphazardly, inconspicuous notes hastily hidden among the clutter. What was lurking behind closed doors? The morning slipped into afternoon, but Jessie remained undeterred. Her instincts sharpened, honed by years of witnessing human behavior in varying states of turmoil. She could spot distress, could measure the tension in the air, akin to a musician sensing discordant notes. What was Caldwell hiding? As she transitioned to cleaning the expansive kitchen, Jessie's eyes caught sight of a briefcase on the counter, abandoned in haste. Her heart raced, the identification stuck in her mind like a splinter. The name Caldwell was embossed on the leather, unmistakable. She paused, grappling with the ethics of crossing a line. What if this acted as the key to revelations? After a calculated glance around, she flipped it open. Documents sprawled across a bed of bills and receipts, but one item glared back at her, an official-looking letter detailing a scientific expedition, mentioning rare marine species transactions and specific locations. The words reverberated through her mind: threatened species profit margin surveillance. Jessie's pulse quickened. This was no ordinary research. The concern for Caldwell's newfound interest shifted abruptly into alarm. Was he exploiting nature? Her moral grounding flared, igniting confusion and commitment. The daughters were unwitting pawns in this game. She struggled to absorb the implications spiraling in her thoughts. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway. Her heart pounded, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She quickly closed the briefcase, heart racing as she stowed it out of sight beneath the sink. The risk was escalating, and she'd only just begun. As Caldwell entered the kitchen, his presence loomed larger than life, a magnetic force radiating authority. "Jessie, I was just looking for you," he said, his voice smooth, yet laced with an undercurrent of tension. She felt exposed, her breath hitched in her throat. "Just cleaning, Mr. Caldwell," she replied, forcing a casual demeanor that belied her inner disarray. The moment hung heavy between them, fraught with unspoken revelations. She could feel the weight of the impending confrontation. A storm brewed, shifting the very foundation of what she thought she knew. But before she could respond, Caldwell leaned closer, his eyes narrowing. "You're very diligent, Jessie. I admire that." And in that instant, a chilling realization swept over her: was he onto her? Had she already been identified as a threat? The stakes were rising, and Jessie knew the time had come to confront the darkness she sensed. Where would this lead her? To face Caldwell directly, or retreat into the shadows once more? As her mind raced with possibilities and strategies, one question remained unanswered: what uncharted realms lay ahead, and would she have the resolve to navigate them? With Caldwell's eyes fixated on her, Jessie felt a flicker of defiance ignite within, battling against the anxiety that threatened to overtake her composure. She had danced on the edge of a precipice long enough. It was time to decide whether to take a step back or leap forward into the unknown territory that Caldwell represented. "Thank you," she answered, mustering a steady tone. But inside, her thoughts were in turmoil. This man who commanded fear and admiration with a mere glance was now her obstacle, the gatekeeper to unraveling the truth hidden within Caldwell's estate. What lay behind his veneer of charm and authority? As he moved past her, she could detect the faint scent of something sharp: citrus, perhaps. It left an unsettling aftertaste on her senses, a reminder that his polished demeanor belied a potential for danger. Brenna and Zoe were innocent bystanders in the web he spun around them, and she felt an urgent need to protect them from whatever darkness shadowed Caldwell. Jessie returned to her task, but sensation dulled into a mindless rhythm as she swept the kitchen, plotting each action while her mind raced with implications. The briefcase felt heavier in her thoughts than it had in her hands, the weight of the documents pressing into her conscience. What if, in exposing the truth, she put them all at risk? Yet what if ignorance was, in its own way, complicity? She couldn't ignore the gnawing instinct that pushed her toward the precipice of action. She needed more information, a way to confront Caldwell without revealing just how much she knew. The thought of a direct confrontation brought a tingle of fear but also exhilarated her. The intensity of this secret mission, it awakened a part of her she didn't realize existed, a private investigator fueled by justice. As the day wore on, Jessie continued her meticulous cleaning, replaying every conversation, every incident she had witnessed since arriving at Caldwell. Each memory revealed small details that might help her piece together the bigger picture, a jigsaw puzzle she could not yet see. After a long afternoon, she brewed a strong cup of coffee, hoping it might ground her spinning thoughts. Her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the warm mug, considering the dynamics at play within the estate. It wasn't simply about Caldwell's dubious enterprise, it was about the girls Brenna, with her fierce spirit, and Zoe, tender-hearted and oblivious. They deserved to know the truth, but how could she convey it without igniting chaos? In a movement that both thrilled and terrified her, she decided to take action. She'd speak with the girls. Perhaps, through their perspectives or stories, she could stitch together the threads currently escaping her understanding. If they had any insights or clues about their father, maybe they would help illuminate the shadowy paths of his ambitions. Before she could talk herself out of it, she walked down the corridor, her heart hammering, each thump resonating with her newfound purpose. What would she say? How could she broach the topic without igniting alarm? As she stepped into the room shared by Brenna and Zoe, she hesitated, the door framed by uncertainty. But just as she was about to knock, a loud crash erupted from the other side, followed by muffled giggles that morphed into startled silence. Her instincts ignited again. She knocked lightly, disguising her own tension. "Hey, are you guys okay in there?" The silence felt thick, almost a web spun before her. Whatever was about to unfold in that room could change everything. She glanced at the door, feeling an electric charge course through her veins. With a low creak, the door swung open to reveal Zoe, wide-eyed and apprehensive. But before Jessie could utter a word, Brenna emerged behind her, holding something shiny and flickering in the pale light. The realization dawned on Jessie: this could either be an innocuous incident or a harbinger of something much darker. Brenna's expression morphed into one of pure elation, but Jessie could feel the tension lurking just below the surface. Here was the spark igniting the powder keg of uncertainty that had engulfed Caldwell for far too long. What had they discovered? And more importantly, could this revelation lead her closer to the truth she craved about Caldwell, about his dealings, and potentially about herself? Zoe's wide eyes shimmered with excitement, drawing Jessie's attention back to the moment rapidly unfolding before her. Before she could process the feelings swirling within, anticipation mixed with dread, Brenna stepped into the doorway, brandishing an ornate key. Its detailed design caught the light, shimmering with a promise of secrets. "Look what we found!" Brenna exclaimed, her voice a blend of triumph and urgency. The joy in her tone created a stark contrast to the heavy atmosphere that had settled over Jessie's heart. It was hidden inside a book on the shelf. Jessica stepped closer, pulse quickening as she scrutinized the key, its pristine surface whispering of locked doors and veiled truths within the vast estate. "Where does it lead?" she asked, drawing upon a well of curiosity that had been brewing ever since she set foot in this place. Brenna's smile faded as she found herself caught in the gravity of Jessie's inquiry. "I don't know. Maybe to a storage room or something," she suggested, her voice wavering slightly. Zoe remained transfixed, her expression oscillating between wonder and worry. What if it opened something important? Something about Dad? The thought sent a shiver down Jessie's spine. What if this simple key held the power to unlock answers that Caldwell had buried beneath layers of charm and deceit? There existed a delicate balance between knowledge and ignorance, and revelations could propel them toward understanding or plunge them deeper into the murky waters of danger. But how do we find out? Taking a deep breath, Jessie battled the rush of newfound resolve against the remnants of fear. The last thing she wanted was to incite panic among the girls. We can't just go exploring the estate without a plan. What if Caldwell notices we're snooping? Brenna's excitement tempered slightly, but her determination remained. We have to at least try. If we find something, maybe we can really help this family. You always say it's important to stand up for what's right. Jessie's heart swelled at Brenna's words, their weight carrying a promise of hope and purpose. But with it came the realization that their course could lead to repercussions neither girl was prepared to handle. What would be her responsibility in guiding them through this newfound peril? "All right," Jessie said, her voice steadying. "Let us keep this to ourselves for now. We should find out where the key leads, but we need to be discreet." The girls nodded, taking in Jessie's resolve. Beneath their playful facade was a shared understanding that their exploration held the potential to unearth truths that could reshape not only their understanding of Caldwell but of their lives altogether. As they turned to exit the room, Jessie felt the pulse of danger intensify. With each step through the corridor toward the mysteries the key might unlock, her throat tightened at the thought of encountering Caldwell's wrath. This wasn't just about truth anymore, it was a mission that could threaten them all. Navigating through the estate, they stealthily approached a door marked by an inconspicuous outline of a lock that could meet the key they held. As Jessie inserted the key, uncertainty churned in her gut. Would uncovering secrets lead to liberation, or would it entrap them further in Caldwell's web? With a creak, the door swung open. Shadows danced in the dim light of the room beyond, revealing a space cluttered with forgotten objects. Jessie stepped inside, a chill running down her spine as she surveyed the scene, aware that answers lingered just beyond reach. But as she turned back to the girls, a voice called out from behind her. "Where do you think you're going?" The tension in the air crackled like static, forcing Jessie's heart to race. Had Caldwell returned? Facing the imminent confrontation, she felt the weight of her choices. The time had come to act decisively, to either stand tall or risk it all unraveling before her. What would Caldwell do next? Would he protect his secrets at any cost? Jessie's body tensed, the familiar knot of fear in her stomach twisting tighter. "Caldwell," she whispered, recognizing the deep, stern voice that sliced through the air. Had they been discovered already? The girls exchanged nervous glances, uncertainty clouding their expressions. For Jessie, the moment stood as a crossroads between her desire for the truth and the imminent threat concealed in Caldwell's authority. She turned to face the voice, the shadows obscuring the figure moving towards them. Caldwell emerged from the gloom, a towering presence that epitomized control. Jessie felt her pulse hammer in her ears, the resolve she'd briefly managed to muster slipping away as he approached. "And what brings you to this part of the estate?" His eyes narrowed, scrutinizing the trio, as if he could pierce through their motives. Jessie inhaled slowly, trying to steel herself. "We were exploring," she managed to say, the lie tasting bitter on her tongue. It wasn't just a casual exploration, it was a quest for the truth. Yet here she stood, stumbling over her words, feeling small and exposed. Caldwell's gaze did not waver. "Exploring usually invites a better excuse than that. You didn't think I'd allow you unrestricted access, did you?" The girls shifted nervously, and a flicker of fear passed through Jessie's mind. What was he hiding? Would admitting their intentions further provoke him? The key dangled from her fingertips, a tangible reminder of both hope and danger. "Please, we were curious about the key," Brenna said unexpectedly, her voice steady yet soft. Jessie turned to her in surprise. Brenna was always the playful one, but now she was confronting Caldwell, representing all their wishes to discover hidden truths. Caldwell raised an eyebrow, surprise mixing with annoyance. "The key?" He paused, a shift occurring in his demeanor. "It's for something unimportant." "But what if it's important to us?" Zoe jumped in, emboldened by Brenna's bravery. "You said the past should stay locked away, but maybe we should decide that for ourselves." The tension in the air shifted, the challenge palpable. Jessie felt a surge of pride mixed with fear as the girls stepped forward, each fueled by their shared commitment to uncovering their father's past. Caldwell's expression hardened, revealing a flicker of something, perhaps fear, behind his stoic facade. "You think it's freedom you desire? You think unveiling the past will grant you closure?" Jessie's heart raced at the implication of his words, hinting at the darkness their inquiries could bring to light. "Then what do you think we should do, Caldwell?" She found herself asking, a challenge igniting in her voice. "Just sit and await the inevitable?" 2 steps into this confrontation, Jessie's instincts mingled with her desires. Every second felt like a precarious balance, teetering between standing her ground and running away. But backing down didn't seem an option anymore, the stakes were too high. Caldwell stared down at her, and for a moment, the air found a stillness, as if time itself was waiting for an answer. But Jessie's growing courage sparked another thought. Perhaps it wasn't just about confronting Caldwell. Perhaps it was also about her and the girls stepping beyond their previous selves into a deeper understanding of who they really were. "Let us find out who we really are then," she said, her voice steadying with conviction. "We need to know the truth, not just for us but for everyone." With those words, she noticed a change in Caldwell. Beneath his composed exterior, something was cracking. The weight of his secrets pressed down, revealing a flicker of vulnerability she had never seen before. But before she could grasp the opportunity, his gaze flicked away, stealing up once more. "Truth is not always pretty," Caldwell warned, stepping back. "And there are doors you don't want to open." Jessie's resolve hardened. "Then it's time we make some choices about which doors we want to unlock." She glanced at the girls, their eyes gleaming with determination. They understood this was the turning point, the moment the tides would shift. As Caldwell turned to leave, tension crackled in the air, heavy and electric. Could she truly face whatever Caldwell was hiding? What secrets lay behind those doors, and what would they find if they continued? With a final glance at the doorway, Jessie's heart raced. The shadows were deeper than she anticipated, and now, the stakes had never been more personal. She took a step forward, ready for whatever lay ahead, determined to confront not just Caldwell but the pivotal truth of their existence. What would they find in that labyrinthine past? A shocking revelation seemed just around the corner, waiting to pounce. The moment Caldwell disappeared into the shadows, a heavy silence fell over the group. Jessie felt a whirlwind of emotions crash over her: fear, resolve, and a fierce curiosity that left her breathless. She turned to Brenna and Zoe, who were still processing the confrontation. "We can't let him intimidate us," she urged, her voice low but firm. "We need to figure out what that key unlocks." Brenna nodded slowly, still visibly shaken. "But where do we even start?" Jessie's mind raced. Caldwell had effectively warned them of a looming danger, but it only fueled her desire to uncover the truth. "Let us retrace our steps. Caldwell mentioned it's for something unimportant. What if he is lying? What if it's connected to our families?" Zoe interjected, "We need to collect more clues. Maybe the library? There have to be records about the estate." With that, determination washed over Jessie. She motioned for them to follow her, leading the way back through the maze of the estate. Each step reverberated with the potential of what they might uncover. It wasn't just the quest for a long-buried truth, it was about affirming their identity against the weight of hidden legacies and expectations. Inside the library, sunlight filtered through heavy curtains, casting myriad shadows across dusty volumes that lined the shelves. Jessie approached the oldest-looking book and carefully pulled it from the shelf, the spine creaking in protest. Dust motes danced in the slender beams of light as she opened the book, revealing pages yellowed by time. The book contained history tales of triumph and woe, love and betrayal. This place held secrets, and she could feel the gravitational pull of the past, urging her to explore further. "Look at this," Brenna pointed to a name etched into the margin of one page. "Holloway, wasn't that our last name?" Jessie peered closer. It was an ancestor, a name she'd heard whispered only in family gatherings, buried under years of family myth. "We have to find out more. Maybe there's a connection to the key." As Jessie read through fragments of personal histories, she noted patterns, alliances, and betrayals among family members. Suddenly, her heart raced again. We need to find out where this ancestor lived. There could be hidden treasures or documents connected to that key. Zoe bounced on her heels, her earlier fear replaced by pure excitement. "It's a lead. There must be old town records or something like that." But with every revelation came the creeping shadow of doubt. Caldwell's words echoed in Jessie's mind, "Truth is not always pretty." What if their search uncovered things better left buried? Would they even be prepared for the weight of their discoveries? An internal conflict waged war within her. Did they possess the strength to confront whatever truth lay ahead? Escaping Caldwell's authority was one thing, facing the past's secrets was another entirely. Jessie could feel the urgency slamming against her consciousness. Choices needed to be made, and it was now or never. "Let us split up and meet back here in an hour," Jessie proposed, compelling each girl to take on the challenge of their own familial histories. It was time to dig deep, to confront whatever may lurk in the shadows. As they prepared to part ways, a resolute determination settled within her. This was their moment to uncover the hidden truths that defined them. As she moved through the library's maze of shelves, Jessie stumbled upon an old photograph tucked between two volumes. It featured a family gathering, people she recognized, but also unfamiliar faces. As she traced the edges of the picture, she felt an unsettling chill. A woman in the corner bore a striking resemblance to her own mother, yet stood as a ghostly silhouette. "Jessie!" Brenna's voice cut through her concentration. "Are you coming?" Staring at the photograph, a question bubbled to the surface of her mind. What if their quests led them to uncover connections that would challenge everything they believed? Jessie tucked the photograph into her pocket, a symbol of the emerging path ahead. With each step toward their futures, the tension rose. They were on the cusp of significant revelations. Could the past still haunt them even as they sought answers? What if the truth was more than they could handle? As the hour approached, Jessie's heart pounded and the shadows in the library whispered of the unknown, the secrets, the connections, and the legacy that awaited their probing curiosity. Would they find empowerment or destruction? The impending journey promised a revelation that could shatter or redefine everything they thought they knew. What awaited them on the other side? Jessie stepped into the grand corridor outside the library, her mind buzzing with thoughts that felt simultaneously exhilarating and terrifying. A vision of old records flickered in her mind as she walked purposefully toward the estate's archives. Time was of the essence. Caldwell's warning loomed large. They had no idea how deeply the skeletons of their ancestors could stretch into the shadows. Flashes of the photograph she found danced across her consciousness. The woman who looked so much like her mother, a keeper of secrets perhaps. This new sensation of urgency ignited a flame within her. She wandered deeper into the mansion's expanse, steeling herself for whatever truth would be revealed. With each room she entered, Jessie noted the remnants of a life lived, richly ornate furnishings, delicate china, and the faint scent of aged wood permeating the air. It all felt like a haunting reminder of familial expectations, yet there was a new determination emerging in her heart, a will to break free from the past while also understanding it. Finally, she reached the archives, an imposing door that creaked open to reveal an array of boxes and files. The room felt charged with untold stories, whispering tales that had long faded into obscurity. She turned on a lone overhead light, illuminating perfect dust motes suspended in the air like tiny orbs of truth waiting to be uncovered. Jessie tackled her task with fervor, methodically opening boxes, searching for anything related to the Holloways. The delicate fold of paper brought back memories of family gatherings, yet now, it was time to draw strength from those memories rather than be burdened by them. She searched through names, dates, and places, hoping for a thread that would connect the historical dots. Hours passed as Jessie pieced together fragments of her past, a birth certificate here, a faded letter there. Connections began to form like constellations in a night sky, revealing a lineage steeped in power and tragedy. There were whispers of conquests, legal battles, and grounds laced with betrayal. Caldwell's prediction that truth is not always pretty haunted her. Would these legacies prove to be a curse as much as a blessing? The sound of the door creaking open startled Jessie back to reality. It was Zoe, her eyes wide with revelation. "You won't believe what I found. The town records indicate a secondary property belonging to our family." The unexpected news jolted Jessie, breathing fresh energy into her veins. What's the address? She asked, gripping the edge of the desk tightly, keenly aware of the significance. If their ancestor had valuables or hidden documents, the key she found could unlock it all. Just a few miles away, that's where we need to go. But Jessie, the records also hint at a family feud that led to some dark things, unhinged actions. I don't know how deeply it all goes. Jessie nodded, absorbent with all the implications. The prospect of uncovering a hidden family estate was thrilling, yet it came with risks they had yet to fully comprehend. The nagging fear of what could be unearthed stabbed at her thoughts again. Could they handle the truths they might encounter? We'll approach this together, Jessie's voice, now steady, reflected her resolve. But we must be cautious. We cannot let fear dictate our path. There's strength in knowing our history, for better or for worse. As they regrouped with Brenna, Jessie shared the news of the second property. A powerful wave of momentum washed over them. This felt like more than just a treasure hunt, it was a battle for their identities. Let's set our course, Jessie declared, her heart racing with newfound hope and apprehension. We'll find the address, but we'll prepare for whatever lies ahead. Collectively, they prepared to venture out, but deep within Jessie simmered an unshakable feeling that what they were about to uncover might not just reshape their understanding of their families, but of themselves. And as the sun began to set, shadows stretching across the ground, one question laced her every thought: what truths awaited them in the hidden corners of their ancestral home? The weight of impending revelation sat heavy on her heart as they left the mansion behind. As the old car creaked to a stop outside the unassuming estate, Jessie's nerves mingled with anticipation. The wooden structure stood as a remnant of history, its cracked facade hinting at stories long forgotten. This moment marked a new chapter in her life, a journey driven by courage, curiosity, and a desire to reclaim her identity. Together, she, Brenna, and Zoe stepped onto the unkempt lawn, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers. Each stride toward the entrance felt charged, like the calm before a storm, ready to unleash the torrents of revelation. Jessie glanced back at her companions, their expressions reflecting a mixture of determination and apprehension, mirroring her own feelings. Ready? Jessie whispered, and they collectively nodded, a pact solidified among them. Each one empowered by the knowledge not just that they sought hidden legacies but that they would do so together. The door creaked as Jessie pushed it open, the hinges protesting after years of neglect. Inside, the dim light revealed a world frozen in time, faded furnishings covered in dust, and the remnants of lives once vibrant. She felt a warmth blossom in her chest. Within these walls lay their family history, intertwining their past and future in a way that would change each of them. Where do we start? Zoe asked, her voice barely a whisper against the stillness. Jessie recalled the coherence of the key. Perhaps they should seek the most obvious target, the locked rooms. Let's see if we can find any of the rooms that might have been closed off, she suggested, feeling the energy of the moment surge through her veins. As they moved deeper into the house, the tension escalated, every corner holding the potential for monumental discoveries. Jessie sensed something more profoundly within her grasp, a sense of agency over her lineage. No longer would she be merely a cleaner, she was an investigator diving into the truth of the past. As they reached a door at the end of a narrow corridor, Jessie's heart raced. It bore no handles, just a keyhole. She could feel its possibilities somersaulting in her mind. Whipping out the key she found, she inserted it and turned it slowly, holding her breath. With a resonant click, the door swung open to reveal a dimly lit storage room filled with ancient boxes, crates layered in dust. As sunlight filtered through a small window, it illuminated scattered papers and mementos, each a piece of a once vibrant life. What is this? Brenna gasped, stepping into the room carefully, her eyes widening at the sheer breadth of memories contained within. Honestly, I think it's our family's history, Jessie replied, her heart pounding at the prospect. Let's see what we can find. The girls began rummaging through the boxes. Each item they unearthed informed them of the narratives behind their ancestry, their lineage filled with ambition and ambition thwarted, love letters that told tales of heartbreak and joy, newspaper clippings revealing scandals long buried. But as the hours slipped by and the sun dipped lower, the atmosphere shifted. Jessie discovered a ledger filled with references to properties, combined with alarming mentions of dealings that echoed the same environmental exploitations she had seen in Caldwell's documents. "It's the same way he was exploiting the marine species," Zoe blurted, her fingers trembling over the delicate pages. Jessie felt a mix of emotions overwhelm her. Anger swirled with the fear of what this data could mean. "We've always had to confront the darkness of our own people," she murmured, senses heightened. "But the question remains, are we brave enough to reveal truths that might shake the very foundations of our family?" Before they could ponder further, a low voice interrupted, laced with that same charm Jessie had often felt emanating from Caldwell. "I see you've taken a keen interest in my family's history." Jessie spun around, her heart racing as Caldwell stood at the doorway, the sunlight backlighting his imposing figure. "What a lovely surprise," he continued, voice smooth yet ice-like. "Why are you here?" Jessie countered, bravery coursing through her as she realized they held the information that could unravel his plot. "Honestly, Jessie? To remind you of the delicate nature of your discoveries. Truth isn't always beautiful, after all. Maybe that's something we need to embrace," she retorted, a newfound depth in her voice. "You've kept the truth buried long enough." Brenna and Zoe positioned themselves beside Jessie, a trio determined to brave the storms ahead. "And we will take it if it means shining a light on the darkness you've hidden." Caldwell's smile dropped, replaced with a sarcastic frown. "You still don't understand? Then help us understand." Jessie pressed, her voice steady as solidarity swelled among them. "What's really going on?" He hesitated, his bravado wavering. "You think you have the power to dismantle what's been built? The legacy that's been carefully crafted? That's the beauty of people like us," Jessie said, feeling a rush of confidence swell. "We aren't afraid of the truth anymore. Our lives are intertwined with the legacy of this family, and if it means confronting you, we'll do just that." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Caldwell's face. In that moment, Jessie felt the immense weight of transformation. It wasn't just about uncovering the secrets but realizing that she possessed the power to shape her own narrative. As Caldwell contemplated his next move, Jessie felt an exhilarating surge of achievement and clarity. This was where she belonged, standing resolute against the waves of fear, ready to dive into the depths of the truth, regardless of its complexion. "Perhaps," Caldwell finally said, begrudgingly, "you'll learn that knowing can often yield more pain than relief. But the choice is now yours. Just remember, family legacies are not easily severed." With those parting words, he turned and vanished into the shadows, leaving Jessie and her friends in the dim light of the room that now felt like an altar of potential. A mixture of determination held them together. They were no longer mere participants caught in the currents of others' decisions. No, they were explorers, ready to navigate through the murkiness of both history and personal choices. Jessie had discovered more than just the secrets buried in her family's past, she had unearthed an unwavering inner strength. She learned the importance of standing up for what was right, even against seemingly insurmountable odds, and the true meaning of forging her identity. As they continued to sift through boxes and documents, Jessie felt gratitude shape within her, thankful for the courage pushing her forward. Though the path loomed ahead uncertainly, together, they were prepared to face it. United, they would transform not only their futures but redefine the tale of their ancestry. Now, the narrative belonged to them, a story of resilience, truth, and discovery. Every moment propelled her toward the person she was meant to become, bold, unashamed, and undeniably free. Join Jessie and her friends in unraveling their tale of discovery and transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of these actions.